Today I want to tell you about a bill that was submitted yesterday, and it just might be the best pro-Second Amendment bill submitted by any state. And I don't say that lightly. I want to tell you all about it because this is something we should all get behind. Before I jump into it, I want to thank the sponsor of the video, TriStar Trading. Y'all, they are in Woobie Blankets. If you don't know what a Woobie is, it's a blanket that was designed for U.S. Special Forces. They needed something that was lightweight, that was packable. You can crush these things down. They fit in a backpack easily. Traps body heat, keeps you warm, can be used as a shelter, can be used as a divider in a tent, can be used as a sleeping bag. Black multicam. They also have tiger stripe and woodland. Guys, I mean, they crush down pretty small. You can leave them in your car to stay warm, leave them for your friends at a smoking lounge, on your couch, whatever. I'll have links down below. They will sell out. Check them out, Woobie Blankets at TriStar Trading. Links below. All right, this bill I want to tell you about was submitted yesterday by State Representative Brian Ritchie from Tennessee. And this bill does a few things. It's very similar to the Missouri Second Amendment Preservation Act. However, there's a few things that will fix Tennessee's not really constitutional carry bill as well in this. It's phenomenal. If you live in Tennessee, you need to get behind this. I'll put a number down below, or a link better, where you can figure out who your state representative is. We need everybody on board this. We need to go on the offensive because the red commie mommies, all the paid shills for the gun control groups have been infiltrating Memphis and now Nashville, and it's starting to swell and grow. We need to fight back. Check this bill out. The beginning of the bill is phenomenal, so I'm going to read it. It says, whereas the General Assembly for the state finds and declares that, 1, the General Assembly is firmly resolved to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against every aggression, whether foreign or domestic, and is duty-bound to oppose every infraction of those principles that constitute the basis of the Union of the States, because only a faithful observance of those principles can secure the Union's existence and public happiness. 2, acting through the United States Constitution, the people of the several states created the federal government to be their agent in exercise of a few defined powers, while reserving for the state governments the power to legislate on matters concerning the lives, liberty, and properties of citizens in the ordinary course of affairs. 3, the limitation of the federal government's power is affirmed under the 10th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which defines the total scope of federal powers as being those which have been delegated by the people of the several states to the federal government. And all powers not delegated to the federal government in the United States Constitution are reserved to the states respectively, or the people themselves. 4, if the federal government assumes powers that the people did not grant it in the United States Constitution, then the federal government's acts are unauthoritative and of no force. Told you this was good. 5, the several states of the United States respect the proper role of the federal government, but reject the proposition that such respect requires unlimited submission. If the federal government, created by a compact among the states, were the exclusive or final judge of the extent of powers granted to it by the states through the United States Constitution, then the federal government's discretion, and not the United States Constitution, would necessarily become the measure of those powers. To the contrary, as in all other cases of compacts among powers having no common judge, each party has an equal right to judge for itself as to whether infractions of the compact have occurred, as well as to determine the mode and measure of redress. Although the several states have granted supremacy to laws and treaties made under the powers granted in the United States Constitution, such supremacy does not extend to the various federal statutes, executive orders, administrative orders, court orders, rules, regulations, or other actions that collect data or restrict or prohibit the manufacture, ownership, and use of firearms, firearms accessories, or ammunition exclusively within the borders of this state. Such statutes, executive orders, administrative orders, court orders, rules, regulations, and other actions exceed the powers granted to the federal government, except to the extent They are necessary and proper for governing and regulating the United States Armed Forces or for organizing, arming, and disciplining militia forces actively employed in the service of the United States Armed Forces. Just a couple more. 6. The power of the several states have given Congress the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations and among the several states, but regulating commerce does not include the power to limit citizens' right to keep and bear arms in defense of their families, neighbors, persons, or property, or to dictate what sort of arms and accessories law-abiding citizens may buy, sell, exchange, or otherwise possess within the borders of this state. 7. The people of the several states have also granted Congress the power to lay and collect taxes, duties, imports, and excises to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States, and to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the powers vested by the United States Constitution in the government of the United States, or in any department or office thereof. These constitutional provisions merely identify the means by which the federal government may execute its limited powers and must not be construed to grant unlimited power, because to do so would be to destroy the carefully constructed equilibrium between the federal and state governments. Consequently, the General Assembly rejects any claim that the taxing and spending powers of Congress may be used to diminish in any way the right of the people to keep and bear arms. 8. The people of this state have vested the General Assembly with the authority to regulate the manufacture, possession, exchange, and use of firearms within the border of this state, subject only to the limits imposed by the Second Amendment to the United States Constitution and the Constitution of Tennessee. And finally, 9. The General Assembly strongly promotes responsible gun ownership, including parental supervision of minors and the proper use, storage, and ownership of all firearms, the prompt reporting of stolen firearms, and the proper enforcement of all state firearm laws. The General Assembly hereby condemns any unlawful transfer of firearms and the use of firearms in any criminal or unlawful activity. Now, therefore, be it enacted by the General Assembly of the State of Tennessee, this act may be known as the Second Amendment Protection Act of 2024. So here we go. Now, this has a lot of the language from the Missouri Second Amendment Preservation Act, with a couple tweaks that they learned from Joe Biden's assault on Missouri for that law, which was passed, and it's a beautiful law. And I'm going to show you a couple key highlights, especially if you live in Tennessee. This is going to make you smile. If you live outside of Tennessee, pass the word, because your state should pass this too. Your state should submit this. This is a good way to keep the federal, not only the federal government at bay, but also that UN Small Arms Treaty. Yeah, check this out. Real quick, on or after July 1 of 24, public funds of this state or any political subdivision of the state shall not be allocated to the implementation, regulation, or enforcement of any international law or treaty, that's the UN, or any federal law, executive order, administrative order, rule, statute, ordinance, or regulation regarding firearms, ammunition, or firearms accessories. On or after July 1, 24, a public office, public officer, or employees of the state or political subdivision of the state shall not enforce, attempt to enforce, or participate in any way of the enforcement of a federal law, executive order, administrative order, rule, statute, ordinance, or regulation regarding firearms, ammunition, or firearm accessories. It also says that they shall not accede or give any render any aid to, or they will be fined up to $50,000 in civil court, not criminal court. What does that mean? Well, what district attorney is going to levy a $50,000 fine against the departments within their district, right? Police departments or towns or cities or counties, because they all kind of work together symbiotically, right? No, this is civil. So a judge can say, yes, you were wronged, your Second Amendment rights were violated, $50,000 fine for each occurrence to each employee, each municipality, each town that violates the Second Amendment rights of citizens of Tennessee. That's phenomenal. Now, this bill says that departments can still work with feds for like JTTFs, Joint Terrorism Task Force, or different task force, as long as it's not going to violate the rights of the Second Amendment rights of a citizen in Tennessee. And that addresses some of the complaints from the federal government saying, oh, we don't have enough enforcement people. We depend on the states to help us. Yeah, you can still get some help, but you don't get to violate. We're not going to help you violate the Second Amendment rights of citizens. Now, feds can still do federal law enforcement, which is something that they had to learn the hard way in court for the Second Amendment Preservation Act in Missouri, SAPA. They can still do their thing, but they'll get no assistance from any town, city, county, or state police here in Tennessee, which is phenomenal. Now, some great things for Tennessee. If you don't know, Tennessee, well, we have constitutional carry, really permitless carry, but it's not what it says because it's not constitutional carry. There are areas where if you and I are together, say the state forest or the national forest, if you have your permit and I'm going off constitutional carry, we get jammed up somehow, you'd be cool because you have a permit. I would get jammed up, could get arrested because I'm on constitutional carry. Doesn't make sense. And we also have this thing in Tennessee where it's a blanket prohibition on carrying firearms if you're knowingly going armed. Well, who doesn't carry a gun and know that they're armed, right? So the constitutional carry here, permitless carry, is a defense to that. It doesn't abolish that. Well, this bill would look to do that. It would absolutely remove the default prohibition on carrying firearms with the intent to go armed. It would change concealed handgun permit to concealed firearm permit, meaning you'd be able to carry whatever that you own legally and lawfully, just not just a handgun. It would also allow Tennessee residents to carry a handgun anywhere an off-duty law enforcement officer could, but the people couldn't, and I'm all for that. Definitely, there should be no distinctions there. And it also addresses reciprocity. It says that any facially valid, just on the face of it, not meaning we have to do a background check or a phone call or investigation. If somebody hands a cop a facially valid carry permit from any other state, it will be honored here in Tennessee, and that's great. We do have some reciprocity agreements, but there are two types of agreements. There are agreements that are bound in statute, and there are others that are just like a handshake, nod, nod, wink, wink type deal. This would make it law that if you are, reciprocity is a thing here in Tennessee. We don't say you can't carry here because you're not from this state. So there are other things in this bill. It addresses some other things, but this is, in my opinion, not just because I live here, this is quite possibly the best bill submitted to protect the Second Amendment rights of citizens in a state. It would stop all of Joe Biden's gun control. It would stop enforcement of all of Obama's gun control, Trump's gun control. Yeah, he had a ton. And whoever else comes down the line, any executive orders and all that crap, it would stop it. I like it. If you guys and gals in Tennessee want this to be law, you need to get on your state representatives. I just talked to Brian Ritchie's office. They said, have them reach out to everybody. We're going to need everybody to get this done. So reach out to, the speakers of the House. Reach out to your senators. Let them know this is coming and they need to get behind this. I'll have links down below to help you do that. If you don't live in Tennessee, you can still make the phone calls. I'll have a link down below. You can pick a county, pick a district and call those reps and say, hey, I'm all for this SAPA bill. Get it passed. The bill, by the way, I don't think I said it. It's HB 2752. I'll have a link down below. Thank you for your time, guys and gals. Get y'all one of these, fill them on the ground, these wubbies. They're awesome. They really are. I like to keep them in my vehicles just in case. You get cold at an event, you got a blanket. Car breaks down, you're in somewhere stranded in winter, you can keep warm. Yeah, they're great things. Links down below. Guys and gals, have a phenomenal day. I love y'all. Be safe. Take care.